Islamic Relief.
A station for conversation, Radio Al Ansar.
Get ready for Green Thumbs Up, the gardening and natural living show you didn't know you needed. I'm your host and life coach, Rabia Carvalho, and we're talking birds, bees, butterflies, and blooms, growing food in garden rooms, home-based holistic healing, and much more. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or nature lover, plant assassin, or permaculture professional, we got you. We got you. Let us bring you the ideas, the facts, support, and inspiration to go green wherever you are. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. only on Radio Al Ansar.
Look at the sun, look at the sky, look at the bird, it's flying so high.
Radio Al Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM, Pietermaritzburg, 105.6 FM.
Hey, it's Green Thumbs Up Day. It is Sunday, and Sunday, of course, is Nature Day, and that's what we're doing right here on Green Thumbs Up. We're talking about all things natural, as always. So welcome. This is not just a gardening show. As you know, I am Rabia Carvalho, and this is Green Thumbs Up, that show where everybody is an expert. Nobody has all the answers, but together we grow. And with me, back home in studio is, of course, Brother Sibaniso Mkize. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm okay, alhamdulillah. It's good to see you.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, great to be with everybody once again. How is the weather treating us in Durban? That's what I want to know. I believe it's been quite rainy.
Yes, it seems like it's gonna be raining. We're gonna expect some showers in the afternoon.
Yes.
I guess so.
Yes, in fact, you'll be expecting showers Monday and Tuesday and today. So I think, unfortunately, looking at the weather over here, we've got 3 days coming up of rain, Sibanisu, from 24 degrees dropping to 18. I honestly, it's these interim seasons that we think everything's fine. The plants are great. People are making plans to go out as well on the weekends, families. And the next thing you know, it showers. It just showers. But we are preparing for springtime. So these rains are so important for farmers.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where I was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So back in the day, they used to talk about the early rains. The farmers used to say, we have to catch the early rains. So some of the farmers would sow their seeds a little bit earlier than others. And other farmers would say, why are you sowing seeds so early? It's still winter. Are you out of your mind? And the farmers who sowed the seeds early would say, we're catching the early rains. And this is them, the early rains coming in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and again on Thursday. But we've got 2 sunny days, the one being Wednesday, quite sunny, and Saturday being slightly overcast in Durban. But if you're in Cape Town, you're much, much more fortunate because although the temperatures are not absolutely amazing, we've got 19 degrees going up. You've got a beautiful 26 degrees on Tuesday. So if you're planning to be out and about in the sunshine or doing this spot of gardening out there, and getting your plants into some sunlight, Tuesday is the day you're wanting to do that if you're in Cape Town. With, of course, then Friday being a lovely, hot day. So I say Tuesday because the weather's great, but it's not too hot. And when you're putting your plants out into the garden, you need to give them a little bit of, adaptation time. So that's in Cape Town. But what's going on up in Joburg besides the Lakeside Festival, because there is a big festival going on. We're going to talk about that on the show. Towards the end of the show, around quarter to 10, we'll be crossing over to Muhammad Ayaz Kareem, who is out there, because Radio Al Ansar keeps stretching and expanding its outreach to communities. And as a community radio station, these are important things for us to make our communities aware of, and we want to find out exactly what's going on the ground. So we're going to talk about that then. And if you're in Joburg, you're going to find Sunday and Monday, there's a spot of rain. But for the rest of the week, it's all hunky-dory and absolutely spiffy. So it's wonderful, wonderful week, really all around. So now, today's guest, we're going to have a guest, and her name is Perry Small. And I'm going to be getting Perry Small on the line with us because Perry used to be a Durban resident, lived in Durban all her life. So she is a gardener, a home gardener, always enjoyed her gardening in Durban. And then, of course, she popped across the big pond, moved up to the UK. And so it's around the world in gardening today. We're talking about gardening in the UK. So if you have family members out there, or if you yourself are in the UK, then by all means, join us. Let us know what your experiences are. You can catch us on StreamYard. You can catch us on FM. It is 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg. Now, I had a message in the week that came in that I wanted to share with you because we have listeners all around the world, and this message really touched my heart. So before we get Perry on the line, I want to actually just share with you what was sent to us. And the message is as follows. And she says, "Dear Mrs. Rabia, presenter of the program Green Thumbs Up, sincere apologies for writing at this time. I am not a Muslim, but a friend mentioned your program some time ago, and this is a prayer request. It's an urgent prayer request that you keep my family, Dr. Kailash Hariprasad, from abroad, overseas in China, in immense and intense prayer. I try to listen to your program every Sunday, and my family from abroad, overseas, would also try to listen via the web every Sunday. Isn't that beautiful that we have listeners all around the world, and they've reached out to us to request for prayer. This lady requesting for prayer for dua, inshallah, although she is not Muslim. We just got word a little earlier on this day that he was involved in a serious accident that has him fighting for his life now. He did not cause the accident, as it was caused by another person. We are not sure if he will survive or not. The prognosis at the moment does not look great, but we are hoping and praying that God will save his life, as it would be a loss and a tragedy if his life is cut short now in the prime of his life. So with true faith, relief, and belief and constant prayer, perhaps God will save the life of my family and restore him 100%. Thank you always for your good program, and thank you for keeping him in your prayers." So I just wanted to read this out to all of you, my dear listeners, because we never know the difference that we are making in people's lives, and we never ever know the extent and of our du'as going out there to people, right? So we make dua, inshallah, for Dr. Kailash Hariprasad and the family. We ask that Allah grant them all hidayah, inshallah, and healing with afia, inshallah. Ameen. So going back to our show, I just wanted to share that message with you. It came in, and I thought it's actually quite beautiful. Going back to our show this morning, we have with us already on the line Perry Small. Now, Perry, as I said, was a Durbanite who has hopped over the Great Pond to the UK. So, good morning, Perry. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, and you?
I'm good, thank you. It's great to see you. And thank you for joining us here on Radio Al Ansar.
Pleasure.
Now, you used to live in Durban, and then you decided to just hop over to the UK.
I did.
Yes. And how are you loving life there?
I love it here. I must admit, I love the cooler weather. It's just up my alley.
Okay. But do you miss your garden at home?
Immensely. I miss my big garden and the different types of flowers. And it seems a lot easier to garden in South Africa than it is to garden in the UK.
Yes. Now I know in South Africa you had the benefit of having a lot of horse manure that would help grow your plants.
Yes.
Right? Which you don't have in the UK.
No, I don't. My garden is probably the size of my patio from South Africa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now tell us a little bit about your experience, because you arrived there and, you've moved homes and now you found this garden. What was your garden like when you first looked at it, when you first moved in?
Oh, it was horrendous. The grass was up to my knees, and there was weeds everywhere and mud. It was horrid, absolutely horrid. I'd never been given any love, but it was a blank canvas, and that was a challenge for me.
Yeah, that is a challenge. And a lot of people, they aren't gardeners, but they listen to the show. They love the natural healing aspect or the other nature stuff that we cover. And I often say, there's always a place to make a garden, whether it's on a patio, whether your garden is the
Mm.
size of a postage stamp, or like you, Perry, you're sitting with completely overgrown stuff. How did you tackle it looking at this garden? What were some of the first things that you considered?
It's getting the grass right. So the grass was patchy. I cut it, obviously, and then only to find that there was probably more mud than grass. So I put down seeds, which in February here is the best time. And I just seeded and seeded and seeded until I got some grass. And then eventually I started putting in my flower beds.
Okay, and what have you found to be the biggest differences in terms of the gardening between Durban and the UK? Because you mentioned one thing being the cooler weather.
Mm. Um, I think for me, the biggest difference is for me, it was a bit difficult because I had to kind of learn all over again because the plants are different here, the climate's different. And there are some good old South African plants here, I must admit. And I think because also where I live, unfortunately, my soil is very clay. So I've had to try and put in a lot more compost to try and turn it into nice soil to grow stuff. So I think my challenges was learning what I could grow and what is good indigenously here, because in South Africa the indigenous plants are so beautiful. Here they're all different because everything dies back in winter, and then you sort of stuck with a bit of a bare plant again, so a garden again. So it's always good to have indigenous so that they can try and be there throughout the year.
Rather than having to plant annuals all the time. I find being up here in Europe as well at the moment at my mom's house that it's very much the same challenge. You're looking for plants that kind of survive the rest of the full year. And
Mm.
things like your camellias, your azaleas, they tend to do quite well. Your gardenias, kind of giving you a little bit of fragrance, but also giving you a bush that lasts all year round. But a lot of the smaller
Yes,
plants, they just disappear. As soon as
yes,
they snap, the lilies, they just die away.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
everything becomes very cold and very dismal, absolutely dismal. But you've made it. And how has your knowledge of gardening evolved? Because you had to teach yourself a lot.
Um, well, definitely it has evolved. I have learned a lot. I've become a great lover of grasses, or different types of grasses, because they seem to stand the test of time and they're so beautiful. And I love all the textures, and without having the flowers, they just are just so beautiful. And they still have a part in the ecosystem.
A
So
lot of
yeah. Mm.
Sorry, go on, yes.
No, that's fine. Carry on.
A lot of people don't realize how beautiful grasses actually can be. And they're in
Yes.
different colors as well. There's grays
Yes.
and greens and reds.
Mm.
Lots of different
Absolutely.
grasses that can be used, whether in the UK, whether you're in Durban, wherever you are. You can use these grasses as a little pop of color, a
Yeah.
little accent plant, or maybe planted on the borders of the flower beds to give it
Yeah.
kind of a little bit of definition if you're wanting a
Yeah.
little bit more formal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Grasses are lovely.
Now, do you grow mostly flowers, so ornamental plants, or have you dabbled into growing some herbs or some food?
I haven't done that here. I have got a red pepper plant,
Okay.
and that is in a pot. So I haven't put that into the soil. I do have a lot of pot plants. Um, so definitely more ornamental. I've got lots of roses, and they just grow so beautifully here. They honestly do. Mine are just booming, and I love them. And I found some beautiful fragrant ones, which is you don't often find anymore, which is quite sad.
I don't know. Here in South Africa, we have a beautiful, beautiful rose places. In fact, we had
Yes.
Ludwig Taschner on the show a while back, who runs Ludwig Rose Gardens, and they have so many different roses. And this is it's
Mm.
not advertising; it's just fact that they have. And I was surprised to go over and see so many of the flowers, so many of the roses that don't have a lot of fragrance, but they're
Yes.
bringing in a lot of the rose cultivators now, growers. They're bringing in those older roses, the ones
Yeah.
that have got the
Fragrant.
fragrance, right?
Mm.
So I'm glad to see that as well. I do see what I notice here, and I don't know if you have that where you are, is there are lots of mottled color roses. So different colors on one flower. You know, your candy stripe roses and
Yes. The double
mottled
glass.
orange and red and things like
Mm.
that. Really beautiful blooms, I must say.
Yes. I must admit, through my tours through the garden centres, I haven't found many of those. Maybe I need to do a little bit more investigating, because it's my thing to try find garden centres to go visit. And funny enough, digressing just a bit, people on the radio station here, people sort of say, what do they do when they go to a garden centre? This one woman finds that she goes and she's deadheading all the plants that need deadheading. I find myself going through and picking up all the plants that have blown over. And I don't know if people do, if I'm the only one that does it. Well, I doubt that I'm not the only one that does it. But yes, I love visiting garden centres and finding all the beautiful roses. But like I say, I don't find many of those sort of dual color ones.
Hmm.
I haven't
Hmm.
come across a lot of them here.
I have to say, I went to a garden center this week because I wanted to go and have a look at some of the garden centers. I saw a couple last week. This week, I went to a garden center. And if I tell you, dear listener, I walked into a room that must have been easily, I don't know, 20 meters by 50 meters. It's a big room, like a
Yeah.
small hall almost. And the entire room is covered in orchids. They have orchids from the ceiling.
Oh,
They
yes,
have
yeah.
phalaenopsis on tables, on stands, on racks, in baskets, and everything. All the phalaenopsis, for some reason, is now in flower. And it's, I think here they're kind of end of summer going into autumn. And the colors, so many different colors of the phalaenopsis orchids. You know, it's the ones you get at the old pick a pocket, the corner store. You know, the flowers that go to Woolies High, those kinds of flowers.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
roses can be challenging, though, can't they? With the humidity up there. I mean, we've got humidity in Durban, but we've got heat, so they dry out. How do you handle that in the UK? Don't you get a lot of pests?
You know what? I've been really lucky. And what I do is I feed my roses bananas. I get some
Yes,
bananas and I blend them, and I feed them bananas, and they seem to be just
going
booming
bananas.
with that. Yeah, bananas.
They
And
go bananas with bananas.
yeah, and if they've got like little buds on them, I just put some dishwashing liquid in water, and I spray them, and that seems to help.
Well, speaking of going bananas, we need to go bananas for our adverts for just a little
Okay.
bit, and we'll be back after the break. So, folks, don't go away. We are talking to Berry Small about gardening in the UK, and coming up, we're going to be talking to Muhammad Iyaz Karim about the Lakeside Festival that's taking place in Joburg. So, we'll be back right after this. And we are back with Green Thumbs Up. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you have just joined us, Green Thumbs Up is, of course, that natural living, that gardening, that holistic healing show that you didn't know you needed. And we're talking to Perry Small this morning about around the world in gardening. We're stopping off at the UK. If you recall, we've done Portugal a little while ago, and I am still here. We'll be back in studio with you all next week, Sunday, inshallah, with your duas. And then we covered Australia, we've spoken about France, and now we are talking to Perry Small about the UK. Now, Perry, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us throughout this break. What are your plans now if we talk about your gardening? What are your plans for this particular change of season? Because now you're moving towards winter. Are you going to kind of increase your pot plants? Are you going to try to continue to plant more bushes? What are you doing?
Well, it's a learning curve for me now going into winter, because this is probably the first time since I've been here that I've got an established garden, and I've been in one place for more than 18 months. So this is really exciting for me. I'm going to now go straight back into those garden centers and investigate what I can plant in winter. So it's an exciting time ahead.
You know, you say something that's actually quite key. A lot of people will say, well, you know, somebody gave me a plant. Let me find out about the plant, which is fine. But if you really want to make your garden thrive, it's important for you to actually do the planning. So if you're getting a plant, you've got to find out about the plant. And if you've got a garden, then you've got to find out what to put into the garden. So yeah, it's one or the other. And I'm glad that you're going out to the nurseries. The other thing you could do is, I know that there are gardening clubs all over the place, and you may find some gardening clubs out near you as well, where people exchange those plants. So you could have that two things. The one thing is you plan and you go to the garden center, and the other thing is you get some plants and figure out where they will thrive with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much for being with us on the show this morning, Perry. It was great having you. Just a little bit about, you know, people's different experiences around the world. How long is the winter there with you, quickly before you go?
Well, I suppose we're going into autumn now, so by October, November, we're going to be fully fledged into winter. So that'll take us through to about February, March.
Wow, that is a long winter. That's the one thing about the Europe that I do not miss, is the very, very long winters. I don't know if you get the constant rain throughout the winter.
Yeah, well, today it's raining.
Well, we have a cyclone here, I have to tell you. The sun is shining in the window, which I'm very surprised about. But we actually have a cyclone. I think it's Cyclone Gabriel that's hit. And it hit around 1 o'clock this morning. And the shutters were going, and all the dogs were barking because the wind was very high speed. I'm up in Portugal, and it's really, really, really windy and rainy and haily. But now look at that, the sun has come out. So that's the other thing about Europe weather, is you never know what's going to happen next.
No, you have 4 seasons in one day, probably 8 times a day. We've had such beautiful, beautiful weather here in the UK. I really am not complaining. I love it.
I do find there's a trend for the higher temperatures getting higher still, and the lower temperatures getting lower still than before. There was some article I read about how it's been the hottest in Europe that it has been in decades.
Yes.
And, you know, seeing temperatures in the early 40s, which is just, it's not a Europe thing.
No. No.
But it's most welcome, I think, for a lot of people. So thank you so much, Perry. Thank you for being with us, and we will speak again.
Pleasure. Take care, Robs.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye. So, dear listeners, that was Perry Small joining us from the UK and doing a spot of Around the World in Gardening. And speaking of being around the world, I wanted today in our Nature's Apothecary, before we cross over to Muhammad Ayaz Kareem and find out about how Radio Al Ansari is expanding further and further in its outreach to community, I came across a little fruit, a piece of fruit I came across a piece of fruit in the supermarket that I was not expecting to see. And I thought, wow, I have to just tell you all about it, because I know many of you may know it, but many of you may not. And I recognized them because a friend of mine in Durban actually introduced them to me not so long ago. Now, they are indigenous to where I was born, which is in Angola, but we don't really get them a lot in South Africa, at least not that I've seen. And what are they? Well, I was walking down the supermarket and there I saw dragon fruit at an exorbitant price. Yes, exorbitant price. Something like 13 euros for, 2 dragon fruit. Really, really insane. And then I saw these little knobbly pieces of things that looked like roots. And I thought, what beest thou? And how do I find out more about thee? And of course, I looked at the name, and Bob's your uncle. It is tamarind fruit. Tamarind fruit. Now, if you know the tamarind sweets, you get quite a lot of candies made of tamarind. They're usually these they come in little balls, brownish color, and then they have sugar on the outside, right? Sugar on the outside. And those are tamarind. So those tamarind fruit are actually quite good for you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, but I want to take a message quickly here. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you're well. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please help. She says, how do I get rid of these insects? It's killing these trees. 2 have already died. Oh, dearie, dearie, dear. So I'm looking at the photograph that was sent to me. And dear listener, this is quite a simple thing to get rid of, but it is something that requires persistence. Think of miniature little pieces of cotton wool with a couple of brown stripes on them that have a few feet, and they stick to your branches. Mealybug. Mealybug, one of the most common pests in the garden, and one that, along with aphids, can sap your tree or your plant completely dry of all its energy. And the next thing you know, you have a dead plant. So what do we do with it? Well, if you are extremely diligent, you can get rid of them. But this kind of infestation, and I'm looking at a branch that's just covered in these white things, is the first thing, take a hose pipe with a spray nozzle, put it on strong, and spray it down to get as much of it off as you can. Because the bushes I'm seeing in these pictures are quite big, you're going to want to spray it rather than wipe it down. So if it was a small plant, I would recommend make a neem solution and then wipe it through. But because this is quite a big plant, you're going to make a neem solution and you're going to spray it profusely every 2 days, especially if it's raining. After the rain, you've got to spray this thing down. And I'm going to give you the recipe for it. Now, you could use sunlight and water is just the thing, dishwash liquid. So you would take 2 tablespoons of dishwash liquid and you would put it into half a liter of water, mix it up and spray it. That coats the respiratory system of these little bugs, and then they dry out and they die off. But often there are pests feeding on these pests. And remember I spoke about aphids? Normally if you've got mealybugs, what happens, unbeknownst to you, is in the in-betweenings of the tree, you're getting these aphids that are coming along with the mealybugs. I don't see them here. I would have to really zoom in, and the picture's not that clear. So use your neem spray. And here's how you do your neem spray. You're going to want 2 tablespoons of neem oil, which you can get at any of our Indian community stores, suppliers, spice shops. They normally have neem store a lot cheaper than if you try getting it at a garden center or at a nursery. So you will probably pick it up for, a couple of dozen rand. And if you go to a nursery store, you'll pick it up for a couple of 100 rand. That's the kind of difference I'm talking about. So 2 tablespoons of neem oil, 2 tablespoons of your dishwash liquid. Sunlight is quite strong, but you can use any. and then you're wanting 2 liters of water. So that is your general ratio. But you don't just write that recipe down and use it like that, because all dishwash liquids are not made the same. And neither is all water, and neither is all neem oil. So there is a trick to making this homemade organic pesticide. And that is, you mix it all together and give it a good shake. Put it in a see-through bottle. So you give it a good shake, and then you look at it and you count to 10. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, up to 10, and you watch. If the oil bubbles start to rise to the surface and you're getting oil on the surface of the water, you need a little bit more oil. Pardon me, you need a little bit more sunlight or dishwash liquid in. So then you add another tablespoon in. Give it a good shake. Let it stand. Look at it. 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4. If there is no oil, there you go. You can now go and spray your tree. Now, you can multiply that depending on how big your tree is. You can use 4 liters, 10 liters, however much you need. But you're going to need to spray it consistently in order to get rid of it. The bigger the infestation of bugsies, the more frequently you need to spray, particularly where there's rain, because rain washes off all these organic pesticides. Now, we've got another message that has come in, and let's address that from A.H. Osman. Salams walaikum salam. I have Sheena hedges, and I see a white powdery substance on the branches, and also some leaves are turning black. Oh, my goodness. Kindly recommend a solution, please. Well, there you go. It's a 2-for-1, because you can use exactly the same thing. We are probably dealing that white powdery substance. You're probably dealing with the same thing. It could be mealybugs. It could be powdery mildew. Both of those happen when there's been a lot of rain. Now you've got some leaves that are turning black. You could be getting affected with the blight, or you may be having all sorts of bugs, black scale, for instance. And the beautiful thing about this is that you can use this neem spray for all of these different varieties of pests. So all of it, okay? Assalamu alaikum. Sister Khadija says, Assalamu alaikum, sister. Wa alaikum salam. Sister Rabia, jazakallah khair, for an amazing show, very informative. There's a wazifa to read for bone pain, where you read Surah Fatiha and blow in olive oil. Wow, look at that. What I want to know is, do I use the medicated olive oil that you get at the chemist, or the extra virgin cooking oil? Now, I can't respond to you from a religious perspective in terms of which oil to use, but I can from a health perspective. I would say virgin, extra virgin olive oil is always best, because you can use it for your skin, and you can then, it absorbs into your bones, or you can even use it to drink the oil. Drinking a teaspoon to a tablespoon of olive oil every day is really good for you. And the older you get, the better it is for you. Another message from Sister Farida coming in. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Listening to a therapist. Oh, that must have been from another show. Dear Sipanisu. Oh, yeah, no. Hang on. My husband has lost his voice. Oh, dear. And so is struggling on a ventilator as well. I'm so sorry to hear that. May Allah grant him full shifa, inshallah, ameen. So full shifa. For throat and chest issues, chest congestions though, when hubby comes home, inshallah, do try some mullein tea, because mullein tea is absolutely brilliant, and it is great for the chest. I was going to talk about the tamarind fruit. Now, tamarind fruit is also one of those with tremendous benefits, and a lot of the benefits of tamarind is it's an antioxidant, so it keeps us young. It supports our heart health. It's going to have antiviral and antibacterial properties, so it is delicious as well, and contains magnesium. So what can you use it for? If you have restless legs and you're struggling to sleep, a cup of tamarind tea in the evening is beautiful stuff. Just take some fresh tamarind fruit, remove the pip that's inside, put it into some boiling water, let it simmer for 5 minutes or so. You normally don't even need sugar, because it's got that little bit of tartness, but if you're wanting some sweetening, please use stevia or honey, and there you have tamarind. Tamarind also really great for our chest right? For asthma, colds, and flus. And I came across something just the other day because my sister has just returned from a trip. She was out in Australia, and she was showing me a plant called mouse ear. And I looked at this plant and immediately, instinctively, as I do with plants, say, my goodness, I think this is for bronchitis and asthmas and chesty things, because plants have that kind of look depending on what they're going to do. And this looked like a brush. I want to say a toilet brush, but a very long toilet brush. And plants like that tend to have think of a brush that's going in and clearing out all of the things in the lungs. So I thought, let me look it up. And truth Bob, it most certainly does. So that's another one that we can use. It's indigenous to Australia, but it is available around the world as well, which is your mouse ear plant. And it looks like a cat's tail fern, actually. So that is that one. But the tamarind had me fascinated because it's so delicious. Also great if you're taking tamarind fruit. It's also great to help you lose weight. Now, people will say, well, tamarind fruit is quite heavy. It's quite heavy in terms of the calories. So is it not going to make me pick up weight? Well, everything in moderation, including moderation, dearest. Everything in moderation. Drinking your tamarind water every day will help you to lose weight, as will eating tamarind fruit every day, but err on the side of less is more. So we don't want to consume loads and loads of tamarind fruit. The thing about tamarind fruit is once you pop, you just can't stop, because those little things are addictive. I was sat with a box of tamarind fruit, and they were so fresh that when I pressed them, immediately that outer shell cracked. Think of fava beans, the long bean. Think of it like that, but it's really, really fat. So a whole bunch of bubbles in a brown kind of pod, and it's just delicious, delicious, deliciously tasting. And so I ended up, but when I kind of brushed my eyes out, I thought, oh my goodness, I finished off the entire box, and promptly went off to the supermarket for more of it, because why not? If you follow me on the socials, on my personal socials, which is the Life Coach Rabia socials, I will be popping a video up of myself enjoying these tamarind fruits, so you can see them and you can see what they look like. And I love these exotic fruits. I love the fact that you get anona here. It's like a custard apple in South Africa. And I think we're seeing a lot more of these exotic fruits coming in here to Portugal, because people are flooding in from all over the world. You know, Portugal really is a gateway to Europe. Unfortunately, it does mean a dilution of Portuguese culture. But at the end of the day, we the people, you the people, we all the people. So why not the people just all love the people and get on? Inshallah. Why not? Yes. So we are going to be talking to Muhammad Ayaz Kareem, which we are waiting on, just to chat to him about what's going on. You know, Radio Al Ansar is dedicated to communities. We're a community radio station. When we say community radio station, we are not just talking about Muslim community, right? We're a Muslim ethos radio station, but we're a community radio station. And so that means that people who are not Muslim may listen to our radio station, and we, as part of outreach, we outreach to communities as a whole. And our outreach, as you know, our outreach is part of the greater Al Ansar group of companies. So those of you who don't know, we have the Al Ansar radio station, but we have the Al Ansar Foundation with Al Ansar Outreach. And so we have, as part of that, loads of outreach programs. And with us on the line to tell us not about outreach, but definitely about getting in with the community and spreading some of the joy and the life and kind of the family orientated stuff is Muhammad Ayaz Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Mac?
Walaikum salam. I'm so sorry. I was trying to connect, having technical difficulties.
Oh, that's okay. We keep things going over here. I was just introducing folks, our listeners who may not know that Al Ansar is bigger than just Radio Al Ansar. So tell us a little bit about what's happening in Johannesburg.
So, for the first time ever, we've decided to take the concept of souk and diamond walk and DSF to Johannesburg, and it's really exciting because I think, like you were explaining, it's about a lot more than just a fair or a market or shopping. Because Al is first and foremost a humanitarian organization, right?
Yes.
It started with 5 men, or maybe 4 decades ago, who decided, like, look, we want to give back to our community, we want to take care of our community, and they started this organization, and it's blossomed into something that's really um, taken on a life of its own. So hopefully, it's going to be really exciting. I'm so excited. Everybody's coming down to Joburg next week, or this week, essentially. Um, it's going to be, oh, I can't even wait.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm so sorry to be missing out on that, but I'll be heading home.
Me
So
too, man.
there's that. But I'll be looking out on all of the social medias because I think, we had this morning on the radio, I read out a request for prayer from one of the listeners who is a listener, and the family listens to Radio Al Ansar, and yet they are not Muslim. And it's wonderful to know that we can also, as Muslims, be out there and kind of dilute a little bit of the impression that media would love people to have. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are not really looking at social media. They go by what's fed on the news, and it's great for us, as I say, to be the people with the people, the different people, and understand we're all the people. We all can live together in harmony, which I think is right up there with what Al Ansar is all about. Oops, I think we've lost Muhammad Ayaz. Yep, I think we've lost him. In the meantime, let's take some messages here. Message from, somebody was just writing up the recipe. Yes, it's 2 tablespoons of sunlight liquid, 2 tablespoons of neem oil, 2 liters of water, mix and shake, count to 10. If the oil comes up, add a tablespoon more of your dishwash liquid. Yes, that's exactly it. Jazakallah khair for the quick response. Allah bless you too, with double of all the goodness that you wish for us. Brother Yusuf says, I planted nachi seeds in a pot of soil and in ground soil and have been watering it. Nothing happened, no plant growing. Well, we're going to come back to you, but Mac is still on the line with us. We've got him back after a short technical glitch. Mac, tell us what are the special things going on at Lakeside, and where can people go to?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yeah, I just want to be fair, you made a really important point there. I think we also need to recognize it's very easy for us as a community to point fingers at everybody around us. Sometimes it's important to self-reflect and also to be self-critical. So I think we do have a problem within our community with regards to just caliber, being socially elite. And I think inclusivity and acceptance of other people is important, and we need to look at ourselves first. But there's going to be so much going on. So, like I said, we are going to be taking Radio Al Ansar to Johannesburg. I'm also working with the entertainment side, so we'll be having everything from stand-up comedy to live panels. I've actually put together a panel of, I call it an aesthetic panel, where I've gotten Joburg's top doctors, from plastic surgeons to maxillofacialists, who will be coming together live to share their knowledge with people. Also on this Thursday, we'll be doing a special town hall where we are getting everybody involved with regards to Sahuk and the situation, to actually appear and share everything with the public. So people are more than welcome to join us. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much.
And I know there's fashion, and then there's food, and then it's literally like the souk all over again. So let's get out there. If you're in Joburg, where can you go?
So it's on Monday. Everything's on our website, but it's the Lakewood Conference Center on Monday. It starts on Thursday. It is from 12 till late, or 10 till late. I'm kind of might be making a mistake. And it continues from Thursday all the way till the following Monday.
Oh, wonderful. So there's a whole weekend of stuff. Folks, if you're planning on being up in Joburg, over to Urmandi, because it promises to be a really wonderful experience, and one of the first of its kinds there, right?
Yeah, one of the first of its kind, and hopefully the first of many.
Absolutely, inshallah. I mean, well, Mac, Jazakallah for being with us on the show. That's all we have time for today. We have a few other listeners, so Jazakallah, wishing you every success there in at Lakeside for the event, and the entire Radio Al Ansar team that will be going out there. Fighting. Good luck to everybody over there. May Allah bless and keep everybody well, and make it go from strength to strength, inshallah. Ameen. I've got a message that is coming. In fact, there's 3 messages, people asking for that recipe. I've got 1 minute to go. I'm going to give you that recipe again, and deal with the nachi seeds next week, inshallah. I will write that down and get back to you, promise. So the recipe for that neem spray that you can use, yes, for your curry tree. Sisters asking, can we do it on curry tree? Yes, we can. Somebody asking, can we use it on ornamentals? Yes, we can. It is 2 tablespoons of your dishwash liquid, 2 tablespoons of neem oil, and 2 liters of water. But the trick here is to mix it all up, shake it, and then put it, you've got it in a see-through box, a bottle, and then look at it. If the oil rises to the surface, by the count of 10, you've got to add another tablespoon in. And speaking of which, goodness rises to the surface. And so it is time for the news at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock from me, Life Coach Rabia Carvalho, Brother Sibanisu in studio, my right hand, and from all of the team at Radio Al Ansar. We hope to see you in Joburg, and we hope to see you right here next week for another green thumbs up. Assalamu alaikum. Don't forget, it is a beautiful day to be happy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.